the privacy versus security debate reignited this afternoon as Muslim scholars in the U.S. have issued a fatwa against the use of body scanners. That is a religious ruling forbidding Muslims from going through these types of scanners at airports. There are two types of body scanners currently in use in the U.S. One's called backscatter technology. It uses small amounts of radiation like an X-ray would to attempt to detect objects on the body under clothing. The result is something that looks a bit like a chalk outline. You can see these images here. And then there's something else referred to as millimeter wave technology, which bounces radio waves off of individuals, goes through their clothing. Those images are very detailed. NBC's Tom Costello recently broke down exactly how these newest machines work. Take a look.
This behind me is the latest generation, the next generation of radio wave, millimeter wave technology, and the TSA is testing it right now. Mark is going to walk through right now the portal. He's going to stand in front of this echo screen, and he's going to start doing a 360. As he does, and we'll tell you in advance that he does have some weapons or some replicas underneath his clothing. As he does, a screener in another room would be watching this image. Let's walk over here and see exactly what the screener would be seeing on his or her screen. We'll stop right there. To begin with, you can see that you cannot tell what Mark's face looks like because the technology blurs the face, but you can tell that this is a man. Let's go ahead and continue scanning around the side, and immediately what we're going to notice is in the small of Mark's back, right there, it appears he has a gun. We know it's a replica, but it clearly sticks out. Let's back up a little bit. Did we miss something? Right on the right hip, there's something. What Mark is wearing on his right hip is a replica of plastic explosives, and this machine has picked it up.
And as you can see there, the latest scanners leave little to the imagination, and according to the FIQH Council of North America, it by definition then violates Islamic rules on modesty. And joining us now, Imam Hassan Kazwini from the Islamic Center of America, along with Cliff May, president of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. And Imam Kazwini, I'm going to start with you. Are you against having body scanners in airports in general, or only for Muslims?
I'm against it in general, whether for Muslims or non-Muslims, because in the end I believe this is a violation of our dignity and our human rights, regardless of our faith.
Do you think other religions should join Islam in effectively ordering or boycotting the use of these machines, however you want to phrase it?
Absolutely. I don't think this is only about Muslims. This is about human dignity. Whether I'm a Muslim or a Christian or Jew or atheist, I believe by using these machines, they are infringing on people's dignity and privacy. And I don't think that is moral at all to use.
Cliff, I know that you're in favor of the body scanners. How do you respond to these types of objections?
First, as I think Tom Costello's report makes clear, the images that are seen by the TSA personnel are neither immodest nor certainly sexy, nor do the screeners have any idea who it is they're seeing. They're in a totally separate place. But the TSA has said all along, if you don't want to go through a screener, you don't have to, but then you may be asked to go for a personal pat-down or search in a private quarters, which will take more time and will be, I would say, for most people, more intrusive. The point is that if you don't want to go through a scanner, okay, but that doesn't mean you don't get a security check. A security check is very important now. I don't think we're doing it quite right at this point, but we need to do more rather than less. I think that's pretty clear from recent events.
How do you respond to those, particularly the first point, Imam Kazwini, that it's blurry, you can't see the face, it's a stranger, that there's nothing particularly provocative necessarily about those images?
Well, I don't think we're talking how sexy these images are. We're talking about people's privacy and dignity. I believe using these scanners are immoral because regardless of how the images appear, sexy or not sexy, I don't think there are many Americans out there who would like their genitals to be exposed in any way or in any form or shape. So I believe that the mere usage of these scanners conflict with people's modesty and people's privacy.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Cliff.
Well, I mean, the problem is that you have people like Abdul Muttalib who are utilizing this when they're putting explosives in their underwear. They are essentially trying to utilize our desire for modesty and privacy against us to murder us. So we have to have some way of doing it. Again, I think what's likely to happen, what should happen, is that there be these scanners in airports. Everybody doesn't have to go through them. Everybody shouldn't go through them. And that's the other thing that's very important. Right now, I would argue, Dylan, we do not have an effective airport security system because we are only looking for weapons. What we need to be doing is looking for terrorists. And you can judge that not least on the basis of behavior. Terrorists' behavior, I'm very carefully saying, their behavior can be profiled. People who are about to kill themselves and many others often act in ways that are different than normal passengers. They should be taken aside and told, ask some questions, and then brought through a scanner or a personal check.
And that's a separate conversation. This is a matter of the threshold for the invasion of privacy and the benefit. And I guess the question a lot of people ask, and I'll ask it now, is it necessary to have this level of invasiveness in the surveillance relative to a physical pat-down, a wand? Is there any other way to evaluate what I or anybody else may have in their pockets, in their back of their pants, wherever it may be, that doesn't require that degree of graphic imagery of a human?
Yes, but that requires having a pat-down probably in private quarters and possibly a strip search. Again, I don't think everybody should have that. I don't think everybody needs to have that, and I don't think everybody needs to go through a scanner. But you need to look for those people who are high risk, and those people either have to go through scanners or they have to have a pat-down or a private search. Otherwise, what you don't want and what is not fair to people is to allow people who we know represent a high risk to get on planes with them and possibly murder them en masse.
And Imam Qazwini, you and I both know that the percentage of people that want to board an airplane and commit the crime of murder is phenomenally small. At the same time, we know that they exist, and that the fact that they exist and they have attempted and successfully sometimes perpetrated these crimes we've been focused on this for a decade now, effectively. Is there another path, or is there anything else that you've looked at that you find preferable to deal with that doesn't require, for instance, this type of invasive surveillance?
Well, let me clarify one point so viewers would not misunderstand where I'm coming from. I'm not saying that we need to compromise our safety and security. I'm a frequent flyer. In the end, I would like to feel I'm safe when I'm on board. And I don't think there is any Muslim or non-Muslim would call for a compromise on conducting a thorough search for passengers. The only thing we're trying to say is that people should be given a choice whether they go through these nude scanners or they would have a pat-down search. And I believe people in this country should be aware of the ramification of using nude scanners. Many people are not even aware of that.
Yeah. Listen, I thank both of you for an honest debate on the subject. As you point out, Cliff, there is that alternative that exists. This conversation surely will continue. I thank both of you, as I said, for an honest debate on it. Thank you, Imam Qazwini and Cliff May.